the temple for which we are supposed to yearn.
At Sinai, upon receiving our tablets, the second set that arrived on Yom Kippur, we began to build our Mishkan at Moshe's command. This portable sanctuary, called the Tent of Meeting, is the place where God's presence was most at hand. This holy tabernacle accompanied us for 40 years as we journeyed to the Promised Land. It continued to serve as the hub of collective worship in the land of Israel for another 300 years until Solomon completed the first temple in the heart of Jerusalem. At that point, the Mishkan became obsolete. Solomon's glorious temple, described at length in the Bible, stood for 410 years until it was sacked, plundered, and burned to the ground by Nebuchadnezzar on Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of the month of Av, 422 BCE. 70 years later, the Persian king Cyrus allowed the Jews to rebuild their temple on its original site. The second temple stood for 420 years until Roman legions demolished the holy structure and, like its predecessor, burnt it to the ground. This tragic event also occurred on Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of the month of Av in the year 70 CE. One of the central features of our much-anticipated Messianic Golden Age is a third temple, even more spectacular than the previous two. There is an obligation to tzipita leYeshua, to actively yearn for redemption, which becomes a massive group prayer with all the potency that implies. Yet to participate in this collective effort, we must sincerely hope for the thing that we are praying for. Yet for many, the reinstatement of animal sacrifice, which has always been the main activity of the temple, is, honestly, not so appealing. Does this ambivalence make them betrayers of the cause? Are they sabotaging themselves and us by praying for redemption, yet pushing it away with their aversion toward what they expect it will bring? Or perhaps they're actually onto something, as the sages say. The people of Israel, if not themselves prophets, are children of prophets, meaning that there's a real and potent trace of prophecy in the collective sentiments of the nation. In fact, if we examine the matter carefully, we will discover that it's not at all clear what this third temple will look like and what kind of service it will bring. The rabbis debate whether we received the command to build the Mishkan before or after the golden calf. Was the Mishkan as we know it always part of Hashem's plan for the people? Or perhaps its need only arose after the sin and its consequences? A full 244 out of our 613 mitzvot revolve around the temple and its offerings. It cannot be that 40% of our mitzvot were actually just an afterthought. In fact, it's impossible for even one of our mitzvot to be characterized as such. They all have eternally enduring value, express Hashem's first choice for us, and convey His ideal. The question, however, is whether Hashem's original vision for our Mishkan was identical to the one we actually built in the end, for its construction, by all counts, occurred after the calf. To answer this, we must first understand the function of a sanctuary altogether. It's a fundamental premise of monotheism that God is equally present in every point of time and space, equally present in Jerusalem as a lot, equally present in a newspaper as in a Torah scroll, equally present in saint as sinner. That's what it means to be one. But Hashem is not equally revealed in all points of time and space. And so, when the ever-presence of divinity is revealed in a place or in a moment, we say that the Shekhinah, or presence, dwells there. A Mishkan is a place distinguished by its power to reveal the glory of God, to make that hidden ever-presence accessible to the outer and inner senses of all who enter. And this is how the rabbis resolve our dilemma. They assert that the original vision, the one Hashem had in mind from the start, was for the community of Israel itself to become a living Mishkan. The people themselves, going about their God-centered lives, would embody the presence and shine it into the world. Each person's life would be, metaphorically, a thread in the curtain, a beam on the wall, a bolt in the plank, or a curtain ring. Instead, we sinned and fell and forfeit our ability to serve at that level. We lost the purity required to host the Shekhinah. We needed a refuge apart from ourselves of wood and cloth and skins, a physical structure dedicated to spirit that could serve as our sanctuary. And this is how it's been. Our desert tabernacle and both temples were of this sort. It's all we've ever known. But the question becomes, what about the third temple? Will it be like the previous two? Will it also be of stones and wood and cloth and skins? Or will it be more like the originally envisioned sanctuary, the living community of Israel holding the presence of God and shining it into the world through the integrity of their God-centered lives? The Messianic Age, by definition, is the era that emerges when we have healed our souls from the golden calf and reversed the damage of the tree of knowledge. It is clear, and the Zohar confirms, that our third temple will really be the first temple, meaning the first one to actually embody what Hashem truly envisioned as our tabernacle. And it is likely that in that case, the temple's central rites will be closer to our prayer services today, which, for the past 2,000 years, has substituted for the thrice daily animal sacrifices and the additional Musaf offerings associated with Shabbat and festivals. It is also true that as we enter the reward phase of history associated with Mashiach, everyone moves up a notch. No doubt there will be other nations who are first transitioning into monotheism, and their next step is to confine their animal sacrifices to the one and only one, and so we will still need a temple of stone and wood and tapestry, etc., to service them. Perhaps this is what the Midrash means when it says that in the Messianic times there will be a temple that descends from above and one that gets raised from below. At any rate, it is important to remember that we cannot possibly imagine what will actually be in Messianic times. We cannot help but project from here to there. And yet there will be so many paradigm shifts, new dimensions, and expansions of consciousness that we cannot possibly anticipate, even in our most wild science fiction, what will actually be happening then. Whatever we know or think we know, it is just the chapter headings. How those words will actually look when they embody themselves in the altered reality of Messianic times, we need to humbly admit that we really have no idea. The only thing we do know for sure is that it will be good and everyone will be happy with the way it all turned out, carnivores and vegans alike.